Hi, good evening everybody. In this video, the French Connection era. Let's take a look back at it. Coming up. Okay, in this video, a request by Alexander Dubois, he asked me if I could do a French Connection video, which I did do months ago, or many months ago I believe, but I can't remember exactly how many, but I did do one months ago. I can never do enough of videos on my heroes, you know what I mean? So I'm going to go over the era, the 7-year era that they were together as a line. We're going to look at some numbers. We're going to look at basically as much as we can in as much time as we can. So I'm going to get on this right away. And we'll get started. So I'm going to be showing you some clips because the clips saved me a lot of time, guys. If I was doing this on the board, I just wouldn't have enough board to do all this. There's too much. Okay, so first we're going to look at the numbers of Gilbert Perreault in the 7 years, not the career in Buffalo, the 7 years these guys were together, which was from the 1972-73 season to 1978-79, even though Robert played like a dozen games or so the season before, right? He played a handful of games when we traded Eddie Shack to get him. We're still only going to look at those 7 years where they were together full-time as a line, okay? So let's take a look at the first clip. This is Perreault's numbers in the 7 years. And there you see it. So 72-73, Perreault in 78 games, 28 goals, 60 assists for 88 points. In 73-74, he had 55 games played, 18 goals, 33 assists for 51 points. And 74-75, our big season, in 68 games, he had 39 goals, 57 assists for 96 points. Then in 75-76, that's when the season started to become 80 games. No, sorry, 74-75 was, my bad. 75-76, he played a full 80. 44 goals, 69 assists for 113 points. Then 76-77, 80 games played, 39 goals, 56 assists for 95 points. And 77-78, 79 games played, 41 goals, 48 assists for 89 points. And 78-79, you could see 79 games played, 27 goals, 58 assists for 85 points. So when you look back, those are pretty awesome numbers, right? I mean, they're pretty awesome numbers. You've seen how he had the bounce back after the 73-74 season, where he missed some time, of course. Now, let's take a look at, let's look at his playoff numbers now. All right, here we go again. And there you see it. I mean, I don't really have to ramble on all of them. The big one that stands out, of course, is 74-75, where you see 17 games played, 6 goals, 9 assists for 15 points in the Sabres' run to the Stanley Cup Finals that season. A lot of memories in those numbers for me, guys. They really are. All right, next, we're going to go to Rick Martin. Okay, here we go. Okay, so 1972-73, Martin had, in 75 games played, 37 goals, 36 assists for 73 points. In 73-74, he had 78 games played, 52 goals, 34 assists for 86 points. And then in 74-75, in 68 games played, another 52-goal season with 43 assists for 95 points. And then 75-76, 80 games played, 49 goals, 37 assists for 86 points, a painful 49 goals, I might add. Then 76-77, 66 games played, 36 goals, 29 assists for 65 points. And 77-78, 65 games, 28 goals, 35 assists for 63 points, and rounding off the French Connection era in 78-79, 73 games played, 32 goals, 21 assists for 53 points. Now, we're going to take a look at his playoff numbers as well. All right, here we go. And there you see it again. Your guys are going to notice a lot of this. There's a mistake there, though, guys. The 79-80, disregard that, okay? Because that was not part of the French Connection era. That's a mistake I made there. So 72-73, you see 3 goals, 2 assists, so on and so on. But again, 74-75, our big run. 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points in those 17 games. And of course, it was only 6 of the 7 years that the French Connection made the playoffs, not 7. So that's why I got mixed up there in clip 7. My bad. Now, let me get out of here and get to René Robert. All right, here we go. All right, here we go again. 72-73, 75 games played, 40 goals, 43 assists for 83 points. 73-74, 76 games played, 21 goals, 44 assists for 65 points. And then a big season here, 74-75, 74 games played, 40 goals, 60 assists for 100 points. 75-76, 35 goals, 52 assists for 87 points. And 76-77, 80 games played, 33 goals, 40 assists for 73 points. 77-78, this time 67 games played, 25 goals, 48 assists for 73 points again. And rounding off his time in Buffalo, 78-79, his last season, 68 games, 22 goals, 40 assists for 62 points. All right, let's get his playoff numbers up there. Some very clutch goals here, guys, let me tell you. All right, here we go. And there you can see, even in the 72-73, I want to mention that series against Montreal, they beat us 4-2. And they were beating us 3-0. And then we went back to Buffalo. We forced a Game 5 in Montreal. And we had never won there in our history. And Robert scored in overtime to give us our first ever win in Montreal. We came back to Buffalo and Montreal wrapped it up. But it was quite a story for their first year in the playoffs. There's the 74-75 though, you see, the big run again. 16 games, 5 goals, 8 assists for 13 points. Of course, including the Fog game goal, which without a doubt will always go down in history as our greatest goal ever, till we win the Stanley Cup. Till we win the Stanley Cup. Now, I want to go over something here, but I want to show you another clip first, okay? This is kind of important, something I wanted to discuss here. But looking back, let's take a look. I want to show you the 76 playoffs, the year after we went to the. No, you know what? Yes, I'm gonna show you all the playoffs, and we'll go to the 76 after. Forget it. I'm change of heart, guys. Sorry. All right, let's take a look at the 7 years, the team, the record, the playoff results. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, 72-73. Nothing much expected of us that year. We were 37. You could see the schedule used to be 78 games back then, 37, 27, and 14. And you've seen 257 goals for, 219 against, and we lost in the quarterfinals that year, 4-2 to the Habs. And in that series, again, we showed a lot of amazing signs that this team was going to be a team of the future. They looked good in that series. They had a never say die attitude. Call it what you want. I just felt really good about their future, and look what happens the next year. 78 games played, 32 wins, 34 losses, 12 ties. We missed the playoffs. Goals for, 242, goals against, 250. I should mention that year they had an excellent home record again, though, like the year before, but the road record caught up to us this time around. All right, going back to this. And there's the big year, guys. 74-75, 80 games played, 49 wins, 16 losses, 15 ties. There was a 3-way tie for first overall that year with Philadelphia, Buffalo, and Montreal in that exact order. Buffalo had 354 goals for, 240 against. Look at the playoffs. We won. There's a trivia for you guys if you ever want to have a little fun with your friends. We won in the quarterfinals 4-1 against Chicago. That was the first team we ever beat in a best-of-7. And then we played the Habs in pretty much a stunning upset in that series. Now, we beat them in 6, but the thing with that series, okay, we beat them the first 2 games in Montreal, close games. We beat them in overtime. That was Danny Gare. You might, for those of you that remember, he fell down as he scored the goal through Dryden. And then we went to the next game. I believe it was an empty net goal. At least that's what my memory tells me. And we beat them in that game. Going back to Montreal, up 2-0, and then Montreal destroys us 15-2 in 2 games. Come back to Buffalo, we win in overtime, go back to Montreal. I'm not expecting to win, and Buffalo wrap it up in Montreal. All right, enough of my blabbing, coming back here. All right, 75-76. All right, and I'm going to come back to that year in a second. This is what I wanted to go over before, but we'll go over it after. So in 75-76, you're going to see now there's all sorts of pressure on the Buffalo Sabres, right? This is a good young team. They came close to winning the Stanley Cup when they lost to the Flyers in 6 games from brilliant goaltending by Gilbert Perreault. So we go into the next season. We're 46, 21, and 13. Goals for, 339, 240 against. And the thing with that season, if you look here, you see we won in the preliminary round, 2-1 over the Blues. Then we lost in the second round to the Islanders. The thing with that season, and I'm going to show you the scores to that playoffs in a second. The thing to that season, we started that season 8-0. We finished that season 9-1-1. It looked like the Sabres were primed and ready again for a deep playoff run, then disappointment, which can happen with a young team. All right, let's continue. Now, 76-77, 48, 24, and 8. And I might want to remark, 301 goals for, 220 against. Good season. Everybody's saying, no, that's a great season. No, the Habs had a great season. They were 60-8. So that wasn't, we were, believe me, in a different dimension what the Habs were doing. Those other numbers are what we were in the playoffs, 10-7, 4-5, 2-4, and all that. So there you go again. We won in the preliminary round, 2-0. Then the Islanders swept us 4 straight in the playoffs. Again, not again, but I'll explain why I almost said again in the next round. 77-78, 44, 19, and 17. Good season, 105 points. Goals for, 288. Goals against, 215. We won the preliminary round 2-1. We lost again in the quarterfinals 4-1. Then 78-79, the final year of the French Connection. 80 games played. Here we go. 36, 28, and 16. 280 goals for, 263 against. Lost in the preliminary 2-1 to the Penguins. And I'll tell you, that was a sad way for it to end. And that's just how it ended. Now, I want to show you a clip, though. This is kind of important. For me, it is, because this was really the turning point, I believe, of what happened. All right, here we go. Now, this is the 1976 playoffs, guys. Check this. Okay, we're going to the playoffs. You got to remember something. This team all year has lost 2 in a row twice. That's it. This team did not lose 3 in a row the entire season, okay? The first game, the opening playoffs, after we had that impressive run to the finals the year before, St. Louis stunned us in game 1, 5-2. We go back to St. Louis. You don't see it here, but that went to overtime. And that was Danny Gare that scored, I don't know, it was something like 11, 12, 13 minutes. Anyway, it's deep into the overtime, deep enough where I was having a heart attack at St. Louis. And we just, they came back. We were down, we were actually, in that game, we were down 1-0. They had the power play. No, we had a power play. They scored shorthanded. That would happen? God, I don't know. My brain, guys, sometimes. Anyway, in that series, my God, we were down 1-0. We scored shorthanded. We're winning. They score late. It goes to overtime. Season's on the line. All of a sudden, a great playoff run the year before, and we're about to lose 2 straight in the first round, just like that. I hated that round back then. I hated anything that was, I just didn't like it. But anyway, back to this clip. Okay, so we get through that scare. We come back home, and that game 3 that you see in that first round against St. Louis goes in overtime again. And that was Don Luce that scored the winner, and we prevailed. Then we start the quarterfinals, and everything's starting to look good again. We win the first one, 5-3. But then that one there, I'm sure that was multiple overtimes, that Islander game. I can't remember clearly, but I know it was. We played the Islanders in that game. We beat them in overtime. We're up 2-0, and then take a look. We lose 2-1. We lose 5-3, 4-2, 4-3, 3-2. And just like that, season over. Just like that. We struggled in the first round. We collapsed in the second round. And from this point on, guys, this is why I wanted to point out 76. From this point on, there was pressure on the Sabres from this point on to start winning. And as you can see, Let's go back to this other clip again. Okay, let me open it. Now you can see in 75-76, there it is, what I just explained happened in that playoffs. So now there's all sorts of pressure on the Sabres, and take a look. We win the first round against the North Stars, 2-0, but we lose the quarterfinals to the Islanders 4 straight. And this is why I had it in my head. Because they've beaten us now 8 straight playoff games in 2 years, and then again the quarterfinals, and then after that, even the preliminary round. So when Scotty Bowman came in, you know, he knew he had to make changes to this team to get this team going. And a few notes I want to add. I'll put a visual at the bottom, though. There's a few things I wanted to discuss here, but there's I want to go over the French Connection's career numbers because they're vital. Really, they're vital. Regardless of the lack of playoff success this team had, we had immediate playoff success, and it was heartbreaking year after year. It was the most exciting, it was the greatest era in Buffalo Sabres history, I think, but it was also the most disappointing come playoff time. It's the only way I can explain it. And the 80s, you know, you just wanted them to win a cup by this point, by the 80s. Imagine, 40 years ago. Yeah, I'm there and I'm just begging they're going to win a cup soon, you know? All right, let's take a look at the numbers of Gilbert Perreault. I'll just give them to you here. I might put a clip, I might not. We'll see. All right, so Perreault had, in 519 games in those 7 years, had 236 goals, 381 assists for 617 points, and he was a plus 60. He was in 8 straight playoff teams, twice a second-team All-Star. Rick Martin in 505 games, 286 goals, 235 assists for 521 points for a plus 35 rating, which for the guys like that back then didn't mean much, really, the plus minus as much as some other guys, you know, like some guys just had crazy plus minus on this team, you know, Bill Height being one of them. Anyway, for Rick Martin, 2 first-team All-Stars, 2 second-team All-Stars, 7 straight playoff games. And René Robert in 512 games, 216 goals, 327 assists, 543 points for a plus 52. And what I'll say about René Robert, he scored the most memorable goal, though, in Game 3 of the 1975 finals in the Fog game. That, for me, will always be the most memorable Sabres goal ever scored till we win a cup, of course, right? Now, in that 7 years, I did some digging on this. Perreault had 9 hat tricks. Rick Martin had 18 hat tricks. René Robert had 5 hat tricks. And if this wasn't the most special era in Buffalo Sabres hockey, guys, I don't know what ever will be. You know, in closing, on this video, it's because of this era why I'm here tonight talking, why I'm making videos, why I'm passionate about this team winning, why you never see me give up. It just isn't in me to give up on the Sabres. It never will be, mainly because of these guys. They had their one chance, which sucked. It was only one chance. The truth is, though, in that era, Montreal couldn't be beaten. They just could not be beaten, really. There was close calls late after and all that, but in those first few years of their dynasty, that team could not be beaten. Montreal was too damn strong, too damn good. There was no weakness. It was the greatest team I ever seen assembled, guys. Better than the Oilers. Better than the Oilers. That Habs team was amazing. And I always had bragging rights that the Buffalo Sabres in 74-75 eliminated Montreal, or else they would have won 5 cups in a row, because Montreal would have, I think they would have beaten Philly that year. I do. Go look at a lot of history. Montreal wouldn't have lost to Philly, I'm sure of it. You know, that team, once they got to the finals, especially with that bunch, they would have won the cup. So looking back at this, you know, the memories are clear, intact. I won't forget what it meant to me as a kid growing up, rooting on this team, how it established we're a proud franchise, and how there was no magical end. You know, I still have dreams that these guys won the Stanley Cup together. It's weird, you know. It's still a dream. It's still one of those things that you know, of course it's not reality, but it's like, you know, it's still one of my dreams that I have was to see these 3 win a Stanley Cup together. And it was great players, you know, we're talking Schoenfeld and Bill Height, who my God, was probably the most steady defenseman in our history. I mean, there was just so many awesome hockey players. Craig Ramsey, Don Luce, Gouvernement was good. I mean, there was good players on this team, you know, and it was sad this team did not win a Stanley Cup in that era. It was the most unjust thing, maybe because I'm a fan saying that, but for me it was the most unjust thing I've ever seen in pro hockey, is them not winning a cup. If Ray Bourque never won one, there would have been no justice, right? But we're talking the French Connection didn't. For me, that was bigger. It was bigger, this line. You know, it was one of the greatest lines in NHL history. It's because of these forefathers I'm a fan forever, and I'll never, ever give up the hope that I'm going to see this team, this franchise, do it, get it done, and get it done dramatically. Most likely, guys, we'll be the first team, I'm going to guess this, the next team that wins the Stanley Cup Game 7 in overtime will probably be us, and we're going to all be at the hospital by the time they win the damn thing. Probably be triple overtime in Game 7 or something, you know? But that's it, guys. Thanks for going down memory lane with me. I'm going to get on a regular video now. And Alexander, I hope that's fine, buddy, because that's what I came up with, you know? They're just memories, good times. And I want to thank these men for what they did for me as a kid, regardless of the outcome after 75, because I just became such a proud fan because of this era, you know? So that's it, guys. I'll see you in the next video.